morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round number 6 of the UK and Ireland Monday Night Skippys live on RaceSpotTV in support of the Calm Zone, the campaign against living miserably. After a few weeks off, we are finally back here with the Skippys, and tonight we're racing at Knockhill Racing Circuit in Scotland. My name is Linus Broström, and who better to have with me tonight than the Scotsman himself, Ryan Walker. You live nearly at this track, so finally back here with the Skippys. How does that make you feel, being back in Scotland and all?
Yeah, it's fantastic being here in Scotland at Knockhill, and one of my favourite tracks, and a track that I visited way back in 2003, and it is one of my favourites on iRacing after doing several laps around here with the Skippy, and I think tonight with these cars as well, it's going to be just fantastic racing. Not a lot of passing opportunities, but still it's going to be a great race, and as you see right now, there's a schedule for the championship.
It's been a very intense season so far. A lot of great racing. Red Bull last week, at least, even though we only show us 3 races this season. The season opener at Phoenix, and then tonight obviously at Knockhill, a brand new track for iRacing, and then we're back again on the 6th of March for the final at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix layout. And if tonight is going to be a good one, I think Brands Hatch could possibly be the one that's going to top that. But tonight we are at Knockhill Racing Circuit, 1.26 miles in length, 6th round of the season, and Nathan Wade tops the championship, just 5 points ahead of Adam Miles, and then Nicholas von Roberts in 3rd at 152 points. And he's had a couple of good races here leading up to this one. He's got 2 straight wins in the bag, whereas Adam Miles won race 1 and 3, and Nathan Wade won race number 2. But Wade has 3 straight second place finishes. Behind them as well is Matt Cox and George Mattock, and then there's a bit of a gap down through to 6th through 10th, where we go really tight again. They're all spread by just 5 points, so a lot to be raced for here, as we're only halfway through the season after tonight, but looks like we have at least 5 drivers battling it out for the championship, and then the rest further down. But it's the usual suspects at the front from what we've seen earlier in the season. Now we're currently in qualifying here. We've got about 2 minutes left for all the drivers to set their qualifying times. They have 4 laps to do so. Most of the drivers have already completed 4 laps. Kevin Budgeon has only done 3, but he's pulled into the pits. So for him, the qualifying session is pretty much already over. Car we're seeing on track here is Adam Miles. He is in 5th place, and he is currently out on his 5th lap, unless my overlay is wrong, but I don't think it is. Here he comes across the line again, and he's not going to get a new time, and it's not even going to be a time set, so we won't even know how fast that was. But obviously trying to get some more track time here. Alan Patterson is the only guy still out on a lap, as he just comes across the line here. 56.576. He improves a little bit, but not enough to climb up, so he will be scored in 22nd position. Paul Elliott and Emilio Largo still yet to set times as well, but it's looking like Nick von Roberts picking up where he's left up over the last 2 weeks, and starting on pole position here we have Christopher Miles as well, currently scored in 10th. He is out on a lap, but that would as well be his 5th lap, so no matter how this goes, it will not count. But as we can see now, coming up through the chicane, it's a pretty steep uphill. I've only driven this track in reverse in the touring cars, and it's a pretty big drop, so I imagine it's a pretty big climb for these cars now in through Clark, that is, onto the railway straight, which leads up to the final hairpin. It's a really tight hairpin, especially coming from the other way around, but in these cars I think this will be a prime overtaking opportunity. Hard on the brakes into the hairpin. He's over on the right there, we're not able to see it as he disappears out of sight, but as all the drivers have completed their qualifying, we're going to cut it short by a few seconds and just go straight through to the starting grid. Nicholas von Roberts takes pole position here, almost 3/10 ahead of Will Redford in 2nd, with George Mattock in 3rd, Nathan Wade in 4th, Adam Miles in 5th, and Geoff Randall in P6, Rebecca Bell in 7th, Chris Simpson in 8th, Kevin Budgeon in 9th, and Christopher Miles, like we saw there, rounding out the top 10. Then we've got Paul Smithers in 11th, Clark Williams in 12th, Mick Watson 13th, Seth Brown 14th, Daniel Tufts in 15th, Martin Armitage in 16th, Greg Ruff in 17th, Chris Wayne in 18th, Chris Bassett in 19th, Dave Dowson P20. Then it's Patrick Bennett, Alan Patterson, Jonathan Rex, Peter Cohen in 24th, and then Emilio Largo and Paul Elliott, who did not set times. And I don't think either of those are going to be on the grid either, because they have loaded their cars on their trailers and taken off here from Knockhill, so we will not be seeing them tonight. So we still have 24 cars here on the grid. You can see it's an uphill climb for the guys at the very back, and the leaders, they'll just get a straight downhill run here into turn number 1. So a bit of an advantage other than being ahead of the other guys. You also don't need that climb early on, so we could see the field spread out here. But right in the run down to Doofus Dip, it could give us some great action coming down here.
It quite possibly could, but also could catch some drivers out, especially on the cold tyres. It looks like we're just about to get underway.
We are, everyone's on the grid, the red lights are on, the engines are revving, and the green flag is out, and we are racing at Knockhill. It's a good getaway there from, I think, 4th, 6th place. They seem to be getting a run on the cars in front, but they're all going to be single file down back to about 8th place. So Nicholas von Roberts is going to hold on to the lead as Kevin Budgeon gets by Chris Simpson there for 8th place, a bit more side by side further back. They're all the way now through the top 15 at least. They're single file, making it all the way through these first couple of corners, now coming up through the chicane the first time. It's a very, very clean start here, considering how tight this track really is. And here comes Will Redford, has a look up to the inside of Nicholas von Roberts. That's going to be down to the hairpin. There's some side by side further back as well, but Will Redford for the leader, and he will be ahead as they get into the braking zone, and he is going to get ahead of Nicholas von Roberts easily there, going into the hairpin all the way through the top 10. They're still single file, but here comes von Roberts back to the inside. So a pass further back there as well. Going to figure out who that was, but side by side across the line, Nicholas von Roberts back to the lead, and I think this is what we're going to see coming up the railway straight and then down to start finish straight is where we're going to see most of the passing happen, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is going to be the theme of the race. Is Von Roberts and Redford still close together? But
we got a car going around here, Ryan. Sorry to cut you off there, but Kevin Budgeon spins around, coming down into McIntyre, and I think we had another car going around just before that as well. Not sure who that was, but Kevin Budgeon has spun out and he's lost his rear ring. We're going to get a replay of that here. He was running in 3rd position. I'm not really sure if that is... Oh, this is actually further back. Never mind, I thought that was the leaders ahead. Just goes a little bit offline there, tries to cut back in behind and gets ran into from behind. So that is very unfortunate for Smithers there. Not really sure who that was that ran into him, so I'm not going to mention any names, but slides off the track and just sits there waiting for the field to go by. So nicely done from him. He's probably going to have to go into the pits and get a spare car as they're side by side again for lead and for 3rd. Oh, really wide there from George Matic. He's cutting the track. That's probably going to give him a slowdown, I think.
Yeah, I find out if you run wide there in turn 1, if you run incredibly wide like Matic did, you get a slowdown, and say, I think, but trying to serve it around here is absolutely difficult because there's not really anywhere that you can jump out of the way, as Matic loses the rear end into turn 1 and has to take avoiding action onto the runoff area and unfortunately slow down, and he'll probably lose several positions after that, as he's still having to serve a slowdown heading down to the tails hairpin.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to serve it in through the tight bits, not to get ran over from behind by anybody, so he does it on the railway straight. That's a good job from him. It's going to drop him down to 5th and possibly lose the draft up to 4th place there to Adam Miles and Nathan Wade, so not what he wanted to see, being up in 3rd position. But once again, Nicholas von Roberts is back in the lead ahead of Will Redford, as Clark Williams just set the fastest lap of the race back in 9th place. He's climbed 3 positions so far, so really good start from him. Coming around down up through the chicane again. It's a very, very short track. They're lapping under a minute, currently 55 seconds lap time, so these 27 laps is gonna fly by quickly, but at the moment it is Will Redford and Nicholas von Roberts pulling away a little bit here. Nathan Wade trying to keep up, but last time around he was 3/10 slower, and Adam Miles was actually half a second slower. Might have been held up a little bit from George Matic, but he doesn't look like he's catching them up again. As no move there from Will Redford, possibly working together here not to slow each other up, as Jeff Randall locks up there, coming up through the hairpin. They're racing for 6th through 10th here with Bell, Randall, Simpson, Clark Williams and Christopher Miles. as we're back with the leaders once again. Will Redford took that lead away from Nicholas von Roberts coming down to start finish straight, and that time around Nathan Wade was actually 3/10 quicker than these guys, so that gap is coming down again, using that draft wisely, coming down the straightaway. So we might have a 4 or possibly even a 5-car race here again within a couple of laps.
That's a good possibility as they head up to the Clark corner, and this is one of the most important corners of this car as well. If you want to try and get a run on someone, you've got to try and carry that momentum and carry as much speed as possible heading down to the Taylor's hairpin, as it looks like we might have a change of lead heading down to the hairpin as I thought there was going to be a change of position as Nathan Wade took a look out or sneaked out from behind to try and take a look, but decides to not make a move, but still coming across the line now, and it's still all close together in this leading pack.
Definitely is Nathan Wade right with these guys. Like you, I thought he was going to make a move, but he chose better of it. And still the top 3 here. See if Adam Miles is able to close in. He closed in on Nicholas von Roberts there at least, but not the other 2. But one mistake here, and that gap is completely gone. As Rebecca Bell has had an off as well. Believe that might have been coming down through the first chicane there too. See if we can get a replay of that down through Dufour's dip. She was back in 7th or 8th place here. They've actually spread out a little bit. They were battling just a lap before. Coming down, see what happens here. Just too high on the curb, bounces the car, can't get it turned to the left, so just slides off the track. That's very unfortunate. She was running well inside the top 10 there, but has now dropped back to P17, so battling with Dave Dowson. But the leaders once again coming down to start finish straight. You can see a car there in the distance who's going to be lapped here in a bit. That's Paul Smithers. I think he was the other car that had an off on the first lap, so he's been in the pits, I would believe, to grab his spare car. These guys shouldn't be getting close any time soon, as Von Roberts goes really wide there, and somehow manages to keep it going straight. Nathan Wade has dropped back a little bit, letting Adam Miles catch back up. Might have made a mistake there as well, but Will Redford has taken charge as he goes wide as well. And George Mattock in the background going super wide. That's going to cost him all the momentum that he needs to catch up to these guys. So it will be these 4 cars at the moment. They're covered by just over a second, so not much at all. And the slipstream will be well in effect. As you can see, Miles there, the last of those first 4 cars, going very high on the curve. That's not going to help his speed coming up to the straight, but he's still close enough to Nathan Wade as we already complete lap number 7 here out of 27.
As the leading pack heads through turn 1 into Duff's Duff, and it's Redford leading as Miles puts in the fastest lap of the race. But I think just watching these 2, they're starting to slowly pull away from Nathan Wade behind, and I think I don't think Nathan Wade and Adam Miles is actually Nathan Wade behind takes a lot of care through that chicane and absolutely throwing that car through that chicane, and I think him and Miles might try and work together to close this gap back down. But as we ride on board the Vorn heading down to Taylor's hairpin, he's still keeping up with Will Redford, and I think he's just more than happy to just sit and watch and just let the race pan out. There's no point fighting at this stage of the race as they head back onto the home straight to complete another lap, and Nick Roberts is not close enough in the slipstream to try and make a move heading down to turn 1.
These two are definitely fast enough to pull away from Wade and Miles, it looks like, but as soon as they pass each other, obviously they slow each other down, so that won't help. Nicholas von Roberts this time around set the fastest lap of the race, beating Nathan Wade by only 2 1/1000ths of a second, so actually they're very equal at the moment. But no way past here. You need to get a good run onto the straightaway to use the slipstream and then just dive up the inside, come into the hairpin or down into turn number 1. But Will Redford just a little bit too fast here. Von Roberts obviously started on pole position, so he does have the speed. But the draft or slipstream also coming into effect pretty massively, because George Mattock is almost 2 seconds behind Adam Miles now. So just losing that slipstream ever so slightly has dropped him back another half a second in just 2 laps. So keeping up here is going to be key, especially for Adam Miles, as he's dropping back a little bit. But on board still here with Nicholas von Roberts coming over the crest now down towards turn 1. He could send it up the inside, but he will not, so he will stay behind us. We have the battle here as well for 8th, 9th and 10th with the Simpson, Tufts and Christopher Miles coming. I believe that is Miles up the inside. It is. He's going to take over. That's actually Tufts. Yeah, that's Miles on the inside trying to take over 9th place. Tufts holding it on the outside though as we come down through the dip into McIntyre. So Tuff's holding on to 9th. He started in 15th, so he's done a good job climbing up through the field as well, gaining 6th position so far.
Yeah, it's been a great drive by him, and there's been several good drives through the field. Clark Williams and Jeff Randall in 6th and 7th place at the moment. They having good races at the moment, and the field in the mid pack at least has started to spread out a little bit. Apart from the lead battle up at the front, but still great drives in the field nevertheless. As it looks like, as I say that, Nick Vaughan Roberts has got the run heading down the home straight, heading down to turn 1, and decides to back out of making a move.
Probably the wiser choice there. Obviously want to be in the lead, but it's going to bring Wade and Miles right onto their tails, and as soon as Wade gets the opportunity, I think he's going to make a move to get into that 2nd position, because come the end of this race, there is no way to go from 3rd to 1st unless something happens up ahead. And I mean, this track is so tight, something very well could happen. Here comes Vaughan Roberts again. It looks to the inside, but I think he's doing that more to get out of the slipstream, to not get too close. As Nathan Wade looks up there, looks like it was Wade anyway. Might have been Roberts, but I think that might have been Wade. So yeah, he's definitely pushing back there, but he's not close enough to do anything. Here he comes again. Now Vaughan Roberts looking to the inside of Redford, but he backs out again. Just shows himself being there, but as long as he is in 2nd place, I think he is in the prime position coming to the white flag lap. As long as he can stay this close to Will Redford without running into the back of him or getting his corner exits compromised, because it's very, very easy to miss the apex or miss your line out of a corner if you are this close to somebody. But these guys are very experienced. They're really good. They're good at what they're doing, and they average about 5,500 in I rating. So it's 4 of the best drivers definitely in this series, constantly racing here up at the front. So mistakes could happen, but they know what they're doing, and they've turned endless laps in these cars by now, so shouldn't be too much of an issue. But once again, coming up now to complete lap number 12 out of 27. Again, Vaughan Roberts peaks out early, and that is not going to get him a run on Will Redford. So I think he's just showing him that he's there, but he's not ready to make a move, and somehow Nathan Wade just cannot get close enough to do anything about it.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. It's just because these guys are so evenly matched on pace. It's just trying to make a move is so difficult, especially if you sit around such a track as this. As they head through the turn 5 and turn 6 chicane now, heading up to as this issues further back as well. This battle we're looking at earlier is still going on, and Tufts has managed to get up into P8 now, or 8th place, sorry. Chris Simpson fallbacks to 9th, and Christopher Miles still in 10th place, cannot get a move done as Tufts runs a little bit wide and clutch the gravel.
Yeah, they've been all over each other. They had some contact here as well, coming down through through the dip here in turns 1, 2. Going to get a replay of that here as Simpson goes to the inside of Tufts. Slides a little bit wide there. Maybe there was no contact. It looked like it at first, but from that angle I don't think there was. Just Simpson doing well to hold it up the inside, as Nicholas Vaughan Roberts has actually made a move for the lead. Coming down through turn number 1 and 2. Redford holds it on the outside, or they're still going to be side by side. Enough is enough, says Vaughan Roberts, as he wants to take the lead, but Redford holds on around the outside now, coming up through the chicane. They do not want to be side by side through there. Redford gets the optimal line, obviously. Nathan Wade just stays just behind him, trying to find an opening as well, and this could be his opportunity to get up into 2nd place and put himself in a position for the end of this race. But obviously we're about halfway, right about now, halfway around this lap. We just hit halfway at 13.5 laps, and Adam Miles right there as well, but it doesn't look like he's able to do anything either, and George Matthews dropped back ever so slightly again, just around 2 seconds behind these guys, so he is out of the equation unless something is to happen. Now down the straightaway again, it is this time Nathan Wade right on the back of Nicholas Vaughan Roberts, peaks to the inside, but he will not make a move. So maybe he doesn't want to let Will Redford get away, or he just didn't feel like he had enough of a run, because obviously Vaughan Roberts has the slipstream as well from Will Redford ahead. So being in 3rd, you don't get that same advantage that 2nd place gets on 1st. But coming up over the chicane once more, just destroying those curbs. And you can cut a lot of that without getting a 1x off track. So as we have a car going around further back in the pack, that is Christopher Miles, all by himself, just spun out down in turn number 3. He's coming back onto the track. It looked weird, I just saw it in the distance, but somehow all by himself just lost the car, as we get a replay of that here. Yeah,
I think it might be on the exit of turn 1, and yeah, I think he might have just, when he ran wide, he might have just lost some grip on that green stuff, and unfortunately lost the rear end, and I think he did just decide not to fight the car too much and just let it spin around, but manages to keep going again, but all well way, or be it down in 16th place.
Yeah, it just goes to show these guys, they're pushing really hard, as we've had another incident back here. Mick Watson is dropping back. I believe he might have had an issue with Kevin Budgeon, as we had a lot of cars here covered by a very small amount of time. Budgeon went to the inside and they just made contact, and Chris Watson dropped back. That might not have been, yeah, that was Budgeon, I believe. It was hard to see the car numbers from there, but here we go. Ooh, almost contact between the 4th and 3rd place there. Wade locks up and Miles just avoids him, but Miles is there now trying to get a run on Nathan Wade. It's not going to be easy though, because Wade has all the slipstream from the cars ahead, so I think Miles might have to drop back in behind him. He does here, coming down towards the end of the pit wall. He drops back into 4th position, but he chose that he is there and he's going to take any opportunity that he can get to make up positions here. Obviously being in 4th is not where you want to be coming to the end of this race if you want to have a shot at the win, but that little lock up from Wade there just gave enough of a gap to Nicholas Von Roberts that he will be able to once again fully focus on the car in front to try and make a move. That time around though, Redford has a lot better run over the Clark curb there and gets a bit of a gap to Nicholas Von Roberts. That could prove good for Nick though, if you can get a good run around the hairpin and get the run coming over the start finish line. There is however a lap car just ahead of Jonathan Rex, and that could be helpful for Will Redford. Maybe not this lap, but probably possibly next lap if you can catch him towards the early parts of a straight. He could use that draft to stay ahead, but here comes Von Roberts peek into the inside, stays behind again, and Nicholas Von Roberts, when that gap opened up, he showed how fast he is and set the fastest lap of the race once again with a 54.188. Not even a tenth quicker than the guys behind, but almost 2 quicker than the car ahead. So that draft is definitely of good use, as we saw Rex there earlier as well, just moved out of the way to not get involved with these guys at all. So good job from him letting these leaders go by without any risk of anything happening. Once again, Nicholas Von Roberts peaks out early, not trying to get that slipstream to get a run, just wants to stay behind, coming to complete lap number 18 here, so that should be 9 laps to go, I believe.
Absolutely, as they head onto the exit of Taylor's hairpin and back across the line to complete the end of lap 18. And it looks like Von Roberts has got the run on Redford. He has got the run on Redford heading down to turn 1, and I think Redford's trying to fight it, but Von Roberts has got the inside line. They're still side by side heading down to McIntyre, and can Von Roberts get the move done? Redford's still kind of alongside. This is fantastic racing.
Once again, side by side coming into the chicane, and just like last time, Nicholas Von Roberts backs out, even though he was actually quite a bit ahead of Will Redford, but he does not want to be side by side with him going over that chicane. So probably a wise move, but at some point he just cannot back out like that anymore, because obviously if there is 2 cars side by side, Redford also has to leave at the space to Nicholas Von Roberts, but that time Warner was backed out again, so if he keeps doing that, maybe Redford will expect that even on the last lap. So could prove devastating for him in the end, but still a few laps to go. Oh, as he tries to trick them into hitting the pit wall there. That was a sneaky move from Will Redford. If they didn't see that coming up, that would have been an interesting moment for him. He just drove straight through for the pit wall and just turned right in the last second. But Nicholas Moore was now right back onto the back of Will Redford once again. Nathan Wade there as well, but he has got Adam Miles right behind him. So all these guys needing to use their mirrors behind Adam Miles. George Mattox has now dropped back 4 seconds. So these guys definitely being quicker than him. He is struggling to keep up. He qualified 3rd, so he's definitely got to the pace. Don't know if he might have some damage or if it's all down to the slipstream that they get from each other here, and just helping each other go faster. Next lap car coming up here is league organizer Alan Patterson, but he's quite a few seconds ahead, so they might not be able to catch him before the end of this race. They've got 7 laps to go this time by. Here comes Nick Von Roberts again, catches up to Redford, but he backs out there just at the finish line. Miles has to look up the inside of Wade as well. He's going to try it high on the curb, but just a little bit of an overlap, so he backs him behind again, not wanting to cost either of them too much time, as if they just let these leaders get away by 1 second, I don't think there is any chance for them to catch up before the end of this race, unless they go side by side for 2 straight laps, because these two at the front, they're just too fast, and if they can race without having to look in their mirrors for just 2 laps, they're going to be gone. But it's nice to see Miles at least trying something on Nathan Wade, not just sitting back there and being happy to run fourth.
I think Miles is recognising now that he needs to try and make a move on Wade, otherwise Redford and Vaughan Roberts will possibly pull away, and they've got a bit of a gap at the moment. But I think Miles just needs to get a move on now if he wants to try and stay in contention for his win as he come across the line to complete another lap. And it looks like Vaughan Roberts is possibly trying to make a move, but decides to tuck in into the slipstream again, heading into turn 1. And still, I think Vaughan Roberts is maybe thinking smart here, maybe just waiting until the closing stages or maybe the last 2 laps to try and make a move. But still, for a first race around here in the Monday Night Skippys, it's been a fantastic race so far, and Vaughan Roberts got a great run in Redford as they head up to Clark Corner.
We do, and see if we can make a run on him through the hairpin. We got some racing going on further back as well, but don't really want to leave these leaders as they're fighting it out really hard. And Roberts looking to the inside, but stays behind again, so we could expect him to make a move coming down into turn number 1 as Patterson just moves over to the right here. Will Redford going to try and use as much of that slipstream as possible, and since Nicholas Roberts doesn't follow him down there, I don't think he's going to try an overtake here either, or he's going to surprise him. Here he comes, gets close, but he's going to stay behind again, so no move being made yet. See if we had that other battle, Peter Cohen, Chris Wayne, Mick Watson, they've actually spread out a little bit here, so we got some side-by-side here. Clark Williams and Geoff Randall side-by-side for 6th and 7th. Williams on the outside, Randall on the inside, and it looks like Randall is going to be getting ahead there. He is, but Williams has to run back. No, he doesn't want to bring that car on the outside up through the chicane. You can see Randall using a lot more on that second curve than what Clark Williams did, allowing him to get a bit of a gap. And Clark Williams started in 12th, so he's had a great start to this race. Randall back where he started in 7th, and they spread out once again. So back to the leaders here as they come to complete lap number 23 on to 24. So 4 laps to go now, and Vaughan Roberts gets right up to the back of Will Redford, and then he just stops. So I think with the gap that he's got back to Nathan Wade, he's just happy to sit here until the final lap, and then he's just going to send it.
I think that's absolutely what his plan is, and just stick with Redford, and just if he gets the opportunity to try and make a move, he absolutely throws the car over the curb through that chicane and heading up to Clark, and he needs to try and carry this momentum, try and carry the speed to try and get a run on Redford, but Redford gets a good run as well, and they both seem to carry the same momentum, so it looks like Vaughan Roberts actually has got the run. He's going to try and make a move into the hairpin. No, he's not, so I think he might wait until they're on the home straight again and try and get a good exit on the hairpin. That was a great exit, so he might be able to make a move heading down to Duffer's Dip.
Here he comes, he's getting close, and he does, nope, he's staying behind. He wants to be in 2nd place. He's not going to make a move. We will not see that until we've got the white flag here, I don't think, so he's being smart. There's a car off ahead of these guys as well, but he tows back to the pits. That's Mick Watson sideways there, but great save. That was a moment and a half as Redford got really, really wide there. That could have been the race over, but great save from him as they come around Clark again onto the railway straight. I'm not really sure why it's called the railway straight. Well, you might know that, Ryan. We can take that after the race. But a bit of a gap here again for Will Redford. They're coming to 2 laps to go this time, so Vaughan Roberts really needs to close that gap back up, because if he's this far back coming to the white flag, it might be too late to make that move. Obviously, that slipstream will get him closer, but he will be pulling out way too late. So, yeah, waiting this long might not be good for him if he can't get close enough.
So as they head down to Duffer's Dip now, and Vaughan Roberts still not making a move, and I'm very surprised. There's Adam Miles in the background, sends it up the inside to try and take 3rd place from Nathan Wade, but Nathan Wade absolutely holds his ground.
That was sorry about that, Ryan. That was a brave move. Just sent it from 3 crawlings back all the way up next to Nathan, but somehow Nathan was able to hold on as Wade goes wide in the gravel area, gets a bit sideways, so they're going to be side by side for third again. Almost cuts across the nose of Adam Miles there, coming down towards the hairpin. The guys up ahead are going to be, he's actually putting up the inside. Here comes Nicholas Von Roberts coming to the white flag, side by side for first, side by side for third. Miles comes back around the outside, and he is going to take third place away from Nathan Wade now. When we come to start the final lap, he finally makes his move. Will Redford going all the way over the track to the left and back to, or to the right, back to the left. Here comes Von Roberts up the inside, side by side, down through the dip. Redford going to get clear again, but Von Roberts throws it up the inside once more, trying to get a run. Contact, and Will Redford goes off backwards into the barrier. Nicholas Von Roberts takes over the lead. It might be his third straight win here, unless he got some sort of damage from that. Adam Miles gets sideways over the curb. They're coming up over the crest. Nathan Wade looking to the inside. Will he be able to make a move, or will this be Adam Miles' move to make for the lead? Nicholas Von Roberts has about 3 car lengths down to Adam Miles, and he is not getting the speed. He's going to look to the inside. Will he brake late to make the move for the lead? Von Roberts goes defensive. Wade around the outside of Adam Miles, who is going to be there side by side. Miles up the inside here of Nicholas Von Roberts. They're coming towards the start finish line. 3 wide is going to squeeze it in between them. Who is it going to be to the finish line? And it's Von Roberts wins it by 4/100ths of a second. Nathan Wade 3/4 of a tenth of a second behind. Wow, 3 wide across the line. I did not expect that when we started the white flag lap. Wow, what a finish ride. And we still got cars finishing further back though. Let's see if we can catch up with some of them. We got a great battle here, 13th, 14th, 15th, with Armitage, Ruff and Chris Miles coming further back, coming out of the hairpin, but they will not be side by side, so they will finish in that particular order. And then we got Peter Cohen as well, just beating out Chris Wayne here for 16th and 17th. But what a finish. 3 wide across the line. I thought Von Roberts had it when he was on his own down the straightaway into the hairpin, but somehow they both managed to squeeze up next to him. That was I think we're going to get a replay of it here as well. Somehow, yeah, that's when Redford gets sent. We're going to get all the way back here to relive that final lap on board with Nicholas Von Roberts. Up to the inside, high on the curve there. And Redford is clear. He's going to send it back up the inside. Clips the curb, and there's just slight contact, but when you go wheel to wheel in open wheel cars, yeah, the one car is going to go flying. Unfortunately, he loses his rear wing there, and Will Redford actually finished in 4th still. They had such a big gap down to George Mattock, so he was able to beat him by just less than a second. Now coming back up towards the final hairpin, this is where it all kicked off. And I was sure when Von Roberts moved into this hairpin on his own in the lead that he was going to get it. Obviously he did in the end, but somehow Miles gets the speed on the inside, and Wade somehow gets the speed on the outside as well, squeezes in between them with contact to the 85 car, and they're 3 wide across the line. And I think without that little contact from Nathan Wade, Miles might just have had enough speed to beat Nicholas Von Roberts. I guess we'll never know, but still 3 wide here at Knockhill. And this is the reason why I continue to say that this is one of the best racing series on iRacing, because these guys, they never fail to disappoint, and it's never over until you cross that start finish line.
Absolutely. Excuse me. Yeah, I have to agree with that. It's one of the best series to race and call, and the action's always good. As on the screen right now is the results with Von Roberts taking that hectic one.
He definitely did, just 4/100ths of a second ahead of Adam Miles and 75/1000ths ahead of Nathan Wade. Will Redford somehow limping home in 4th after being backwards into the bad air, with George Mattock finishing in 5th after having that slowdown early on. Geoff Randall wins the race behind these guys, just beating Clark Williams for 6th, with Williams in 7th, Daniel Tubbs in 8th, Chris Simpson in 9th, and Rebecca Bell recovers to finish in 10th. Seth Brown in 11th, Martin Armitage in 12th, Christopher Miles in 13th, Greg Ruff in 14th, Peter Cohen 15th, Chris Wayne 16th, Peter Cohen in 15th, Chris Wayne 16th, Dave Dowson 17th, Alan Patterson 18th, Kevin Budge in 19th, Jonathan Rex in 20th. And then we have the DNFs of Mick Watson, Chris Bassett, Paul Smithers, and Patrick Bennett, and then Largo and Elliott, who didn't start the race. But Clark Williams, 7th place up from 12th, and then Daniel Tubbs in 8th from 15th, so good gains from both of those guys. staying on the track the whole race and doing all they could and actually gaining quite a few positions. Not as many as we see sometimes when we have the stacked grids, but still eventful races for those guys. So let's see if we have anyone up for interviews. Actually, we do, and let's start off with a bit of a controversial race winner. Obviously did nothing on purpose, but Nicholas Von Roberts, that was an interesting race all the way through. Made it exciting at the end as well. Congratulations on the win. How was that from your point of view?
Yeah, it was quite intense actually. I know there wasn't much overtaking, and it probably wasn't a great race for the broadcast, but yeah, just trying to keep it on the track on this one's quite difficult. And yeah, I know that contact with Will at the end there was sort of it was a racing incident. I tried to go at the inside, and then I nearly lost it at the end as well. I went tight to stop Adam coming from sort of far, and then I had a really bad exit. I think even Nathan might have tapped Adam to stop him from passing me. I'm not sure, but I won in the end. It's fine.
Yeah, so it looked like through the race you had runs on Will Redford there, but it looked like you were just waiting and waiting and waiting for that final lap. What was your plan going through this race, especially when you got that gap to the cars behind?
It was more actually finishing the race, because I could see if I like what happened in the last lap there. If I did that early on, I could easily have been that person who got taken out, and really thinking more. I know I'm probably out the championship a bit, but there's still potential. 2 drop weeks. I know I've dropped pretty much 2 already, but potential to come back. So I was thinking the long run, not so much just this race.
Well, anyway, a great race from you, and congratulations on your 3rd straight win in the championship. Even though you've probably used up at least 1.5 drop weeks, 3 straight wins, I wouldn't say you're out of it the
Not
least,
quite.
even though those guys finished behind you. But congratulations on a 3rd straight win, and hope to see you back again.
Great. Cheers, guys. Thanks again as well.
Thank you, Nick. Next up, we have Ryan standing by with our 2nd place finisher.
Yep, Adam Miles finished there in 2nd place after starting P5 on the grid, and Adam, you were involved in that lead battle for most of the race, and it looked like at one point you ended up falling back slightly, but managed to get yourself back into that battle for the win on the last lap, and after Nick and Will had issues. But yeah, that looked absolutely chaotic, but fantastic to watch.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race. I felt like a spectator for much of it. Chatting to Nathan, and Nathan couldn't get enough of a draft on Nick to make many moves. I couldn't get any draft at all on Nathan, other than just to kind of keep parity with him. So, I mean, I was just watching the race, waiting for the incident to happen, and then maybe about 5 laps from the end, I figured, look, I can't rely on that happening. So I was just trying to put put Nathan out of position into usually turn 3. I get a better run through 1 and 2, and then try and dive bomb him a little bit into 3. Not always actually intending to make the move, but just enough that it lost him 2 or 3 tenths, and then my plan was just to get him out of Nick's slipstream so that I could slipstream past Nathan. But as it turned out, a little bit of carnage did happen, and then the last corner, I feel like I could have won that one. I got a really good last corner, got the overspeed on Nick coming out the last corner, and then just Nathan saw a Nathan-sized hole between Nick and I, and we just bumped wheels, and it just forced me out away from Nick's side draft. I lost a bit of momentum, and then he ended up winning by 400ths. But I think from where I was, P4, P5 on the grid, I completely messed up qualifying. I think I'll take a P2.
Yeah, I mean P2 it's nothing to complain about, and it's still points to vital points in the championship. So it's at the end of the day, it's still a positive result. And looking at, or actually thinking about Knockhill, it's not been around long on iRacing, and it's not been raced that much with the Skippy. What's your first impressions of the track?
It's a good track, I think, for this. It could do with one more corner for overtaking, but I think it's a track where, I mean, it's only a 55-second lap, and you really can't switch off. There's no huge long straights or long sweeping corners where you can, check your phone in the middle of the straight. You've really got to be on it every corner, every straight, and mistakes are punished as well. If you get that chicane wrong, you're heading straight to the barrier. So I've enjoyed it. It could just do with maybe one more, a slightly longer main straight, maybe, I think actually in reverse, if we do the reverse config next season, that what is the last corner right now would become the first corner, and then you'd have a lot more perhaps overtakes going into turn one than you do here, where turn one is really a suicide if you try and make a move into turn one. So yeah, if we do reverse next season, I think it might be an even better race.
And quickly before we let you go, anyone that you want to give a shout out to or thank you to?
Just you guys as normal. It's great to have you back for a week, and Alan for running the league.
Good stuff. Well, again, congratulations on second place, Adam, and good luck at the next round at Road America next week.
Thank you.
As that was it. Adam Mills joining us, and I believe up next we've got third place finisher Nathan Wade, who was involved in that awesome finish.
We certainly do, Nathan. Good race from all you guys all the way through there. Started fourth, ran third most of the race. Looked like you had a chance for second there at the end, but ultimately finishing in third as well after miles got by you. But how was that race from your point of view?
Hi guys. Yeah, I'm slightly disappointed because I felt the first 25 laps I drove pretty cleanly and was able to keep Adam behind quite nicely. I did make one slight error, I don't know, like lap 15 or something, where I think I moved under braking into the last corner. So apologies to Adam about that. But I think at lap 25 or 26, I went slightly wide, turn 6, I believe, just after the chicane. And it just allowed Adam to come straight past. Got the overspeed out of the last corner, and so going on to the last lap, I had the plan that I'll do the same thing to Adam. Obviously, with Will and Nick having their collision, it brought the win back into contention. And then going into the last corner, I was going to try and recreate Adam's move he did on me, but then Nick went to defend the inside, which put Nick in front of me. And then obviously Adam was blocking that small gap, and I just sort of tried to push my way through it. But yeah, I'm a bit disappointed that Adam finished in front of me, but at least us three are still that close to each other.
Yeah, it's looking at the championship, it was definitely the best result we could have had amongst you three, since you were leading coming into this race. But obviously never fun to finish third. But you've had a pretty good race, or pretty good season so far, winning now 3 straight second place finishes and then another third here today. So how is that looking coming down to the second half of the championship from your expectations?
It's good. It should have been better. There's definitely a couple tracks that I should have definitely won. Just silly mistakes on the last couple of it's the pressure, I'm telling you. It's the last couple of laps I've made a couple mistakes, I think in 2 races, which just thrown me out of the contention for the win. But hopefully second half of the season will be slightly better than that, get a few more wins, and hopefully finish in first.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see some more great racing for you guys. Unfortunately, we'll only be covering the final here in March, but hope to at least see some more great racing from you in person, because I tried to watch some of your races. So congratulations on a third place finish, and good luck on the rest of the season, and we'll hope to see you again at Brands Hatch.
Cheers, guys.
That was our third place finisher, Nathan Wade. And Ryan, any final thoughts on this amazing event that we saw today?
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic racing, especially up at the front, but also we had that battle with Jeff Randall and Clark Williams, and I think my first impressions for me personally is the Skippy suits this track. It's produced great racing, and I think it'll be good if this series returns here to this track in the future seasons.
Definitely does, and this track does have a reverse layout, like it was Adam Miles said, so that could potentially be something for the future. But from us here at RaceSpot, the next time you'll see the Monday Night Skippies is in 6 weeks, I believe that will be on the 7th of March. Anyway, you'll have to count the weeks yourself for the final round at Brands Hatch Grand Prix. Tonight, it's been round 6 at Knockhill though. My name is Linus Brostrom, joined as always by Ryan Walker with Connery Maddock doing the job behind the cameras tonight. So until next time, take care everybody, stay safe and have a good night. Goodbye.